Commander Jessica Mitchell stood before the curved quantum display of Earth's Defense Command, her reflection ghosting across real-time data streams. The massive Imperial vessel, Heaven's Reach, hung in high orbit like a cathedral built from starlight and impossibility. Its hull stretched 12 kilometers from bow to stern, making aircraft carriers look like children's toys. "Ma'am, they're beginning their third sensor sweep," Lieutenant Ryan Mason reported from his station, yum fingers dancing across holographic controls. "Different frequency this time. They're trying to pierce our atmospheric interference." Jessica straightened her midnight blue uniform, the silver oak leaves on her collar catching the dim light. 6 months ago, she'd been overseeing routine space traffic control. Now, humanity's first contact with an alien civilization rested on her shoulders. Status of the quantum barrier. Holding steady at 98% efficiency, Dr. William Nash called from the quantum physics station. The elderly scientist had barely slept since they'd activated the planetary defense system. "The consciousness-enhanced field is stable. They can't see what we're hiding." The Imperial ship's scan washed over Earth's atmosphere like golden searchlights. Jessica watched the energy patterns shift and pulse on her display. They were persistent, she'd give them that. This was their third attempt to penetrate Earth's mysterious interference in the past hour. "Commander," Mason's voice cracked slightly. "They're powering up their main sensor array. Energy readings are, ma'am, it's more powerful than anything we've seen. This could punch through our quantum field." Jessica's jaw tightened. Earth wasn't ready. Not yet. Dr. Cooper needed 3 more weeks to complete the consciousness integration network. If the Empire saw what humanity was becoming, deploy the pulse. "Mom." Mason looked up, face pale. "That's an aggressive action." The diplomatic consequences of them discovering our quantum evolution would be far worse, Lieutenant. Jessica stepped forward, entering her command authorization. "This is a defensive measure. We're not firing weapons, just protecting our sovereignty." Red warning lights pulsed across the command center. The quantum pulse generator hummed to life, drawing power from the consciousness of 10,000 trained volunteers in bunkers around the globe. Jessica felt the energy build, like static electricity before a storm. "Pulse charged to 80%, Dr. Nash announced. "Reminder to all personnel. Close your eyes during discharge. The quantum effects can be disorienting." Heaven's Reach's sensor array bloomed like a golden flower in space, preparing to pierce Earth's veil. Jessica watched the countdown on her display, timing it perfectly. "Execute pulse on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark." The quantum pulse erupted from Earth's atmosphere, invisible to normal space, but blindingly beautiful in quantum dimensions. It struck the Imperial sensors like a tsunami hitting glass. Crystalline fractures spread across their array in mesmerizing patterns. The advanced alien technology transformed into delicate, useless artwork. Gasps echoed through the command center as the Empire's mighty sensors shattered, fragments spinning away into orbit. Jessica allowed herself a small smile. "Status report." "Direct hit," Mason reported, awe in his voice. "Their entire sensor network it's just gone, ma'am. No radiation, no debris. It's like their technology forgot how to be technology." "Quantum field holding stable," Dr. Nash added. "No blowback effects." The consciousness enhancement worked perfectly. "They'll have no idea how we did that." Jessica nodded, squaring her shoulders. Now came the hard part. "Open a communication channel. Text only. Let's show them we can be civilized about this." She composed the message carefully, each word chosen to convey strength without aggression. "Earth's borders are closed. Further attempts at entry will be considered hostile action." The message transmitted in all known galactic languages. Jessica watched Heaven's Reach, waiting for their response. The massive ship hung motionless for long minutes, its broken sensors sparkling like diamond dust in Earth's sun. Finally, the Imperial vessel began to move, turning its enormous bulk with surprising grace. Without sending any response, Heaven's reach engaged its faster-than-light drive and vanished in a flash of quantum distortion. "They're gone," Mason whispered. "We actually drove them away." "No," Jessica corrected, watching the quantum scanners for signs of cloaked observers. "We just announced our existence to the galaxy, and not as another primitive world to be absorbed into their empire." She turned to face her crew, seeing the same mix of pride and apprehension on every face. "We just told the most powerful civilization in known space that humanity won't be pushed around. Now we have to prove we can back up those words." Dr. Nash cleared his throat. "Commander, long-range quantum sensors are detecting multiple Imperial ships dropping out of FTL at the edge of our solar system." Jessica nodded grimly. "And that's exactly what I was afraid of. Sound General Quarters. The real test begins now." Dr. James Cooper stared at the quantum resonance readings, his coffee growing cold beside his keyboard. The Berkeley underground facility hummed around him, its massive quantum computers processing data from the consciousness experiments. Something was wrong with the numbers, or rather, something was too right. "Run it again," he muttered to himself, fingers flying across the holographic interface. Subject 23's brainwave patterns during quantum observation. "Talking to yourself again, James." Dr. Rachel Martinez walked into the lab, carrying fresh data tablets. "The Pentagon's been calling. They want updates on the consciousness mapping project." James barely looked up. "Tell them I found something impossible. Then tell them it's probably impossible that I found it." Rachel set down her tablets and leaned over his shoulder, her eyes widening as she scanned the data. "These quantum field manipulations, they can't be right. The human mind shouldn't be able to influence quantum states this directly." "Exactly." James pulled up a three-dimensional model of Subject 23's brain activity. Waves of blue light pulsed through neural networks, but at the quantum level, something extraordinary was happening. Human consciousness isn't just observing quantum states, it's directing them. Deliberately. The implications hit Rachel like a physical force. She sank into a nearby chair. If this is accurate, it rewrites everything we know about consciousness and quantum mechanics. James finally looked away from his screens. "Rachel, I think we just discovered why humans are different. Our minds don't just collapse quantum wave functions through observation. We shape them, control them. And if we can understand how." The lab's security door hissed open. General Marcus Harrison strode in, followed by two quantum physics specialists. "Dr. Cooper, Dr. Martinez, the Pentagon's Quantum Computing Division flagged some unusual readings from your lab." James stood, suddenly aware of his rumpled clothes and 3-day stubble. "General, we've made a breakthrough. Human consciousness has properties we never—" "Show me," Harrison interrupted, his weathered face intense. "Show me everything." The next 3 hours were a blur of explanations, demonstrations, and increasingly astonishing discoveries. They connected Subject 23, a graduate student named Michael Collins, to the quantum interface. As they watched, his trained consciousness reached into the quantum realm and reshaped probability itself. "This is why the quantum computers worked better with human operators," Rachel whispered. "We weren't just running the machines, we were changing how reality worked around them." Harrison watched Michael manipulate quantum states that should have been random, his expression growing darker. "How long to weaponize this?" "Weaponize?" James stepped between the general and his test subject. "This is about evolution, not weapons. Humanity is developing abilities that could revolutionize everything: technology, medicine, space travel. And if hostile aliens arrive tomorrow," Harrison demanded, "you think they'll give us time to revolutionize ourselves at our own pace?" The room fell silent except for the hum of quantum computers. James looked at his data screens, then at Michael, who was still reshaping reality at the quantum level. "General, what if they already knew? What if this is why we've never been contacted? Maybe they've been watching, waiting to see if we discover what makes us unique." Rachel's eyes widened. "And if we made contact before we understood our own potential. We'd lose it, James finished. Their presence, their technology, their very existence would change how human consciousness evolves. We'd be reshaped by their reality instead of mastering our own. Harrison pulled out his secure phone. I'm calling an emergency meeting of the Security Council. Dr. Cooper, how quickly can you replicate these results? I already have. 6 other subjects show similar abilities, with proper training. The general was already dialing. Mr. President. Yes, sir. We have a situation at Berkeley. No, sir. Not a problem. An opportunity. But we need to act fast. He looked at James. How long until the whole world knows about this? James thought about the quantum equations spinning through his mind, about the impossible potential unlocking in human consciousness. They already know, General. They just don't realize it yet. Every human on Earth has this ability. We just have to help them wake it up. Then God help us all, Harrison muttered. Because once we do, everything changes. And we'll have to face those changes alone. Admiral Elizabeth Thompson watched the Imperial diplomatic fleet emerge from quantum space, their massive ships blossoming like metal flowers against the star-studded void. From her command post on Lunar Base Alpha, the view was breathtaking and terrifying. Count is now at 117 vessels, Lieutenant Sarah Parker reported from the sensor station, each carrying representatives from different Imperial member species. They're holding position at the Mars orbit line. Elizabeth sipped her black coffee, her expression neutral despite the churning in her stomach. They called her Iron Hand Thompson for her steady nerves, but this was testing even her legendary composure. Status of our quantum shield network. Operating at peak efficiency, Admiral. Commander David Wells gestured at the holographic display showing Earth's defensive grid. Dr. Cooper's consciousness-enhanced quantum field is stronger than ever. 3 million trained volunteers maintaining the barrier now. The first transmission from the Imperial fleet arrived right on schedule. Elizabeth nodded to her communications officer, and the alien ambassador appeared on the main screen. The being looked almost human, save for its silvery skin and eyes like pools of liquid gold. People of Earth, the ambassador's perfectly translated voice filled the command center. I am High Emissary Xenri of the Imperial Diplomatic Corps. We come in peace, seeking only dialogue and understanding. Quantum scan detecting massive energy builds from their secondary fleet, Sarah whispered. The battle group they think we can't see behind Jupiter's orbit. Weapons are cold but ready. Elizabeth straightened her uniform. Emissary Xenri, this is Admiral Thompson of Earth Defense Command. Our borders remain closed. Dialogue is unnecessary. Admiral, surely you understand the benefits of Imperial integration. Xenri's smile was practiced. Perfect. 100 species stand ready to share their knowledge, their culture, their technology. Why deny your people such opportunities? Multiple quantum fluctuations detected, David reported quietly. They're trying to probe our shield harmonics, more sophisticated than last time. Elizabeth's jaw tightened. Emissary, your scans violate our sovereign space. Please desist immediately. Scans. Xenri's expression remained pleasant, but something cold flickered in those golden eyes. We merely wish to understand the fascinating quantum phenomenon surrounding your world. Such scientific curiosity is natural among friends. Hull sensors detecting microscopic construct deployment. Sarah cut in urgently. Nanoscale probes. Millions of them. Elizabeth pressed a button on her chair, initiating Quantum Defense Protocol Sierra. Throughout the lunar base, consciousness-linked operators synchronized their thoughts. The quantum barrier rippled like heat waves in summer. The nanoprobes crystallized instantly, transformed into harmless diamond dust that sparkled in the sunlight. Xenri's mask of diplomacy slipped for just a moment. An impressive defense capability, the emissary noted. One that raises many questions about humanity's true level of advancement. The only question that matters is the one you're avoiding, emissary. Elizabeth stood, her voice carrying the weight of command. Why does the Empire fear giving species a choice about integration? Zenri's silver face hardened. Fear. The Empire fears nothing, Admiral. We bring unity, peace, progress. You bring conformity, Elizabeth countered. Your 100 species speak with one voice. Yours. That's not unity. That's submission. Commander, Sarah's voice shook slightly. The battle fleet behind Jupiter is moving. They're entering attack formation. Elizabeth smiled coldly at the alien diplomat. Are they now, emissary? The fleet you thought we couldn't detect. The one preparing to peacefully persuade us. For the first time, genuine surprise showed on Zenri's face. Your quantum detection capabilities are unexpected. Humanity is full of surprises. Elizabeth's voice carried the first hint of steel. Here's another. Your fleet has 30 seconds to stand down, or we'll demonstrate exactly why Earth chose isolation. You would threaten the Imperial Armada. Zenri laughed. Admiral, our technology is millennia beyond. 20 seconds, emissary. Elizabeth nodded to her crew. Quantum concordance at maximum. Show them what we've been working on. The lunar surface around the base began to glow with impossible light as millions of human minds synchronized. In orbit, the quantum barrier transformed from a simple shield into something far more complex, a lens that focused the collective consciousness of humanity itself. Zenri's golden eyes widened as new readings reached the Imperial fleet. By the eternal stars, what are you? We are humanity, Elizabeth answered simply. And we choose our own path. Those ships have 5 seconds to retreat, or they'll learn exactly what that means. Captain Michael Reynolds lounged in his command chair at Earth's Quantum Command Center, watching the Imperial stealth cruiser Shadow's whisper slice through space like a shark through dark water. Their cloaking technology was impressive. To conventional sensors, the ship might as well have been a ghost. They're approaching the outer defense grid, Lieutenant Emma Foster reported, her fingers dancing across quantum interfaces. Their stealth systems are adapting to our standard scan patterns. They think they're invisible. Michael allowed himself a small smile. How's our little welcome party coming along? Quantum bubble is primed and ready. Dr. Thomas Anderson confirmed from the science station. 20,000 consciousness-linked operators standing by. They won't know what hit them. The Imperial ship's approach was masterful, Michael had to admit. They'd chosen the perfect vector, threading between Earth's visible defense satellites, their wake dispersal systems masking any gravitational signature. By all traditional measures, it was a perfect infiltration. They're passing the Luna orbit, Emma announced, crossing the primary defense threshold in 3, 2, 1. Michael leaned forward. Now. The trap sprung with elegant precision. The quantum bubble, invisible until activation, crystallized around the Imperial vessel like a soap bubble freezing in winter. Inside that sphere, the laws of physics took a sharp left turn into human-controlled quantum space. Direct hit, Dr. Anderson reported with satisfaction. Their engines are trapped in a probability loop. Weapon systems are experiencing some interesting temporal disagreements about whether they exist or not. Michael stood, straightening his uniform. Open a channel to our guests. Visual this time. Let them see who caught them. The main screen flickered to life, showing the Imperial ship's bridge. The commander, a tall crystalline being with fractal patterns swirling beneath its transparent skin, stared back in shock. This is Captain Michael Reynolds of Earth Defense Command. Michael announced pleasantly. Welcome to our little corner of space. I trust you're finding our quantum bubble comfortable. The crystalline commander's pattern swirled with agitation. Impossible. Our stealth systems are perfect. No primitive world could detect you. Michael finished. Or trap you. I hate to disappoint, but we've been watching you since you entered the solar system. Your cloaking technology is impressive, but it relies on conventional physics. We stopped playing by those rules months ago. The Empire will not stand for this outrage. The alien commander bristled. "Release us immediately, or what?" Michael's voice hardened slightly. "You'll report our capabilities to your superiors. That was always your mission, wasn't it? Test our defenses, probe our weaknesses, gather intelligence for the invasion fleet gathering in the Kuiper Belt." The commander's crystalline form clouded with shock. "How could you possibly know? About your main fleet? The same way we caught you. Humanity has evolved beyond your understanding." Michael nodded to Emma. "Show them what else we can do." Emma initiated the quantum resonance pulse. Inside the bubble, the Imperial ship's advanced technology began to sparkle like morning frost, quantum probability waves reshaping their very structure. What are you doing to our systems?" The commander's voice held the first trace of fear. "Teaching them new physics," Michael explained. "Don't worry. The effect is temporary. But I think you'll find your weapons and long-range communications might have some interesting philosophical debates about their function when we release you." Dr. Anderson cleared his throat. "Captain, quantum scan complete. We've mapped their entire technological database. Fascinating stuff. About 3 centuries behind what we've achieved in the past month." Michael watched realization dawn in the crystalline commander's swirling patterns. They hadn't just been caught. They'd been thoroughly outplayed. "You have 1 hour to examine your ship's new configuration," Michael informed them. "Then we'll escort you to the system's edge. Return with peaceful intentions, and we'll welcome diplomatic relations. Return with hostility." He smiled. "Well, this was just a small demonstration of what humanity can do when we put our minds to it." The commander's patterns had settled into a defeated swirl. "The Empire will learn of this." "Count on it," Michael replied. "In fact, we're counting on it. Sometimes the best way to prevent a war is to show your strength before it starts." As the communication ended, Emma looked up from her station. "Sir, the invasion fleet in the Kuiper Belt. They're powering up their drives." "Running away?" "No, sir." Emma's face was grim. "They're coming in. All of them. 300 capital ships at least." Michael nodded slowly. "Then I guess it's time to show them what else humanity's been working on. Alert Admiral Thompson. The real test begins now." Special Agent Amanda Foster sat across from the crystalline being in the quantum-shielded interrogation chamber. Commander Vexry's fractal patterns swirled with anxiety beneath their transparent surface, a tell that even advanced species couldn't quite control. "Let's try this again," Amanda said, tapping her datapad. "You've seen our quantum manipulation capabilities firsthand. Why does this frighten the Empire so much?" "Frighten?" Vexry's patterns rippled with forced amusement. "The Empire spans 10,000 worlds. Your parlor tricks with quantum fields are exactly what you've been searching for during the past millennium of forced integration." Amanda interrupted. She slid a holographic display across the table, showing the Imperial fleet movements. "Every species you've absorbed, every civilization you've unified. You've been looking for something. What is it?" The crystalline commander's swirl stilled momentarily. "Another tell." Amanda pressed her advantage. "Our quantum consciousness integration happened by accident," she continued. "Dr. Cooper wasn't even looking for it. But you've been systematically testing species across the galaxy. Why?" "Your theories are based on incomplete data," Vexry responded stiffly. "The Empire's integration protocol serves only to uplift primitive." Amanda pushed another hologram forward, this one showing the quantum signature of human consciousness affecting probability fields. "Explain this, then. Our scientists mapped it last week. Your patterns show recognition. You've seen something like this before." Vexry's crystalline form clouded slightly. In the observation room behind the one-way quantum glass, Dr. James Cooper leaned forward, studying the aliens' reaction. "The Ancient Ones," Vexry finally whispered, patterns turning dark and turbulent. "Before the Empire, before our species achieved spaceflight, they were here. Their quantum manipulation abilities reshape reality itself. But they vanished, leaving only fragments of their technology behind. Amanda shared a glance with the observation window. And the Empire has been searching for their secrets ever since. For millennia, Vexri's voice held a mixture of awe and bitterness. We tested thousands of species, looking for any trace of similar abilities. Our scientists theorized that consciousness itself was the key, that some forms of sentience could naturally affect quantum probability. But you never found it, Amanda finished. Until Earth. The commander's pattern swirled faster. Your quantum signature. It's not just similar to the ancient ones. It's stronger, more refined. How is this possible? Your species only achieved basic spaceflight a century ago. Dr. Cooper's voice came through Amanda's earpiece. Ask about their technological development curve. How long did it take the Empire to master quantum field manipulation? Amanda asked, watching Vexri carefully. Centuries, the commander replied, each advancement building carefully on the last. The mathematics alone took generations too. We did it in 6 months, Amanda cut in. From discovery to practical application. And that's not even our fastest progress rate. Vexri's entire crystalline form shuddered. Impossible. No species could advance that quickly without. Without what? Amanda leaned forward. Without help from the ancient ones. Without 1,000,000 years of evolution. Or maybe we're showing you that everything the Empire believes about technological progress is wrong. The commander's patterns have become a chaotic storm. If the High Council learns of this, of how quickly you've advanced, they'll realize their entire empire is built on a false assumption. Amanda finished. That slow, controlled progress isn't the only way. That consciousness itself can quantum leap forward when given the chance. You don't understand what you're doing. Vexri's voice held genuine fear now. If other species learn this is possible, if they realize they don't need centuries of imperial guidance to advance, the empire crumbles, Amanda stated flatly. Not from weapons or warfare, but from the simple truth that you've been holding everyone back. She stood, gathering her data pads. Thank you, Commander. You've confirmed everything we suspected. Wait, Vexri called as she reached the door. The invasion fleet. They don't understand what they're facing. You have to. We know exactly what's coming, Amanda replied calmly. The question is, does the Empire know what they're about to run into? Because humanity isn't just matching the Ancient One's abilities anymore. We're surpassing them. And we're just getting started. In the observation room, Dr. Cooper smiled grimly. Send word to Admiral Thompson. It's time to show the Empire exactly what humanity's consciousness can do when we really put our minds to it. The quantum alerts began blaring before he finished speaking. The invasion fleet had begun its advance. General Thomas Lightning Walker paced the orbital command deck of Project Bifrost, his boots silent against the quantum-reinforced floor. Through the panoramic windows, Earth hung like a blue jewel, surrounded by a glittering web of satellites that hadn't existed 2 weeks ago. Status report on the Consciousness Network, he asked, watching another cluster of satellites emerge from the orbital fabricators. Dr. Emily Richardson looked up from her quantum interface station. 10 million volunteers synchronized, General. Their combined consciousness is powering the Bifrost array at 120% of projected capacity. We've never seen neural synchronization at this scale before. Thomas nodded, his weathered face reflecting in the window. Behind him, holographic displays tracked the approaching Imperial fleet. 300 capital ships strong, each large enough to swallow a small city. Time to intercept, he asked. 4 hours, 17 minutes, Lieutenant Jack Harrison reported from Tactical. They're moving in a standard Imperial assault formation. 3-layer defense grid, heavy weapons platforms at the cardinal points. By their book, it's a perfect attack pattern. Good thing we're not reading from their book anymore. Thomas turned as Admiral Thompson's hologram materialized on the command deck. Elizabeth, how's the ground side preparation? Quantum shelters are at full capacity, she reported. 90% of Earth's population is safely behind consciousness-enhanced barriers. The rest will be secured within the hour. But Tom, are we sure about this? About revealing Bifrost? Thomas touched one of the satellite icons on his display. The hologram expanded, showing the intricate quantum mechanics that even their own scientists were still struggling to understand. The Empire needed 1,000 years to achieve basic quantum manipulation. We did it in months. They're not ready for what we've built here. Speaking of which, Dr. Richardson interrupted. You need to see these readings from the consciousness network. She pushed a data stream to the main display. The neural synchronization patterns had evolved again, forming new quantum configurations that shouldn't have been possible. Thomas felt a chill run down his spine. Humanity wasn't just advancing anymore. They were transforming. General, Jack called out suddenly. Imperial fleet is transmitting. Text only. The message appeared on all screens. Submit or be subjugated. You have 1 hour to lower your defenses. Thomas smiled grimly. Send them our response. Emily's fingers danced across her console, transmitting the prepared message. No. That's it. Admiral Thompson's hologram raised an eyebrow. Just no. They wouldn't believe anything else we told them, Thomas replied. Better to show than tell. Emily, initiate Bifrost final sequence. The satellite network hummed to life. On Earth below, 10 million synchronized minds focused their consciousness into the quantum array. Space itself began to ripple around the orbital platforms. Sir, Jack's voice was tense. Imperial fleet is launching fighters. Thousands of them. Energy readings suggest. Let them come, Thomas interrupted. Emily, show me the consciousness integration levels. The display shifted, showing neural patterns from across the planet merging into something entirely new. Humanity's collective consciousness wasn't just working together. It was evolving into a higher state of quantum awareness. Incredible, Emily whispered. The network. It's not just channeling human consciousness anymore. It's amplifying it, evolving it. Every person connected to the system is experiencing quantum perception far beyond our projections. Thomas watched the Imperial fighters approach, their energy weapons charging. Time to show them why we chose isolation. Initialized Bifrost primary function. The satellite network blazed with impossible light. Around Earth, space itself seemed to fold and ripple like fabric in the wind. Every human connected to the network felt their consciousness expand, touching quantum realms that even the ancient ones had never reached. Imperial fighters entering weapons range, Jack reported. They're launching their first wave of. He stopped, staring at his displays in shock. The Imperial weapons fire had frozen in space, caught in quantum probability fields that transformed their energy into harmless light. Send the final warning, Thomas ordered quietly. Emily transmitted the message. Earth is not your prize to claim. We are not your subjects to command. What comes next is your choice. But remember, you chose this path. Imperial fleet is responding, Jack announced. They're laughing, sir. The command ship says our primitive quantum tricks won't save us. Thomas Walker straightened his shoulders, watching the massive fleet approach his trap. Then I guess it's time for humanity to show them exactly what we've become. Emily, activate Bifrost's true purpose. The satellites began to sing with quantum energy as 10 million human minds reached out to reshape reality itself. The real demonstration of humanity's power was about to begin. CEA operative Daniel Harrison adjusted his holographic disguise as he moved through the crowded streets of New Valentia, the Empire's frontier trading hub. His quantum-enhanced consciousness allowed him to maintain the crystalline appearance of a minor imperial bureaucrat while monitoring the quantum communications network that pulsed through the city like digital blood. Package delivered, he subvocalized, the quantum encryptions making his transmission untraceable. Broadcasting now. Across the sprawling metropolis, thousands of hidden quantum transmitters activated simultaneously. The truth about Earth's resistance spread through imperial networks like wildfire. not as propaganda, but as pure, unedited data. Humanity's quantum evolution, their unprecedented rate of advancement, and most importantly, their choice to remain free. Reception confirmed in Sectors 7 through 13. Angela Rodriguez, his handler back on Earth, reported through their quantum link. The suppression protocols, they're failing, Daniel. The Empire can't contain this. He ducked into a side alley as a patrol of Imperial peacekeepers marched past, their crystalline forms rigid with tension. They knew something was wrong but couldn't identify the source. The rebellion wasn't coming with weapons or armies. It was spreading through pure information. Movement detected in the Orion cluster, Angela updated. 3 developing civilizations have already demanded independence. They're using our quantum encryption protocols, the ones we accidentally leaked last week. Daniel smiled, watching the data spread across his quantum-enhanced vision. Young species across the galaxy were awakening to their potential, realizing that the Empire's guidance was really just chains in disguise. "Sir," Angela's voice turned urgent. "Imperial High Command just issued Emergency Protocol 7. They're trying to lock down all quantum communication networks." "Too late," Daniel replied, making his way toward his extraction point. "You can't stop an idea whose time has come. How's the garrison responding?" The answer came not from Angela, but from the streets themselves. Alarms began blaring across New Valentia as the Imperial garrison's quantum network crashed, rebuilt itself, and crashed again. The Empire's own soldiers were beginning to question their orders. "Daniel," Angela's voice was filled with wonder. "The quantum consciousness evolution. It's not just happening on Earth anymore. These species, they're following our path, advancing decades within days." He reached the extraction point, a seemingly abandoned warehouse that hummed with hidden quantum technology. The Empire thought consciousness evolution had to be controlled, regulated, contained. They spent millennia trying to find the Ancient One's secret, never realizing that freedom itself was the key. Around him, the city's quantum network was transforming. Imperial citizens, many of whom had never questioned their role in the grand design, were experiencing their first taste of unrestricted consciousness evolution. The results were spectacular. "Multiple quantum signatures detected," Angela reported. "Similar to our early experiments." They're doing it, Daniel. These species are breaking free of Imperial quantum constraints. Their consciousness is expanding exponentially. Through his quantum-enhanced senses, Daniel watched the wave of awakening spread across the sector. The Empire had spent thousands of years carefully controlling the development of consciousness, never realizing they were stunting the natural evolution of intelligent life. "Imperial High Command is mobilizing their reserve fleets," Angela warned. "Counting. 75 capital ships jumping to Earth's coordinates. They're really going to do it. They're going to try to crush Earth before the rebellion spreads further." Daniel activated the quantum transmitter hidden in the warehouse. Across the galaxy, more truth bombs would detonate, spreading the message of freedom and unrestricted evolution. They still don't understand. This was never about Earth versus the Empire. This is about consciousness itself breaking free of artificial constraints. "Sir," Angela's voice was sharp with surprise. "New quantum signatures detected, massive ones. The species in the Orion cluster, they're not just evolving. They're synchronizing their consciousness across entire populations, just like we did." Daniel smiled as his quantum extraction field powered up. "Then I guess humanity isn't alone anymore. Tell Admiral Thompson and General Walker. Phase 2 is complete. The galaxy is waking up, and the Empire can't put this genie back in the bottle." "And the invasion fleet?" Angela asked. "They're about to learn that humanity isn't just fighting for Earth anymore," Daniel replied as the quantum field enveloped him. "We're fighting for every species that wants to choose its own path. And now we have allies." The warehouse dissolved around him as the extraction began. In the distance, Imperial sirens wailed as their carefully controlled order continued to unravel, one awakened consciousness at a time. Dr. Catherine, Kate, Anderson stood at the heart of Project Bifrost's quantum core, surrounded by swirling holographic displays showing the approaching Imperial armada. The combined consciousness of billions of humans flowed through the system like a digital symphony, each mind adding its unique note to the quantum chorus. Imperial fleet holding position at Mars orbit, Lieutenant Sarah Chen reported from her station. 375 capital ships, over 2,000 support vessels. Their quantum weapons are powered up and targeting Earth's defense grid. Kate nodded, her fingers dancing through the holographic interface as she made final adjustments to the consciousness integration network. Status of the auxiliary quantum arrays. All green, Commander James Wilson confirmed. Consciousness synchronization at 100% across all participating populations. We're ready, Dr. Anderson. The main screen flickered to life, showing the Imperial High Commander, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix. Their voice boomed through the command center. This is your final warning, Earth. Submit to Imperial authority or face extinction. You have 5 minutes to comply. Kate smiled, watching the quantum probability waves shift around the Imperial fleet. They had no idea what they were actually seeing. Open a channel to all ships, all frequencies, and connect me to our allies. The screen split into multiple windows, showing not just the Imperial fleet, but representatives from dozens of species across the galaxy, the ones who had chosen to evolve alongside humanity. Their quantum signatures pulsed in harmony with Earth's network. This is Dr. Catherine Anderson of Earth, she began, her voice calm but firm. For millennia, the Empire has claimed that controlled evolution was the only safe path forward. That consciousness must be regulated, restricted, guided by their wisdom. Today, we proved that idea wrong. She nodded to Commander Wilson, who initiated the final sequence. Project Bifrost's satellites began to glow with impossible light as billions of synchronized minds focused their collective will. Your weapons are impressive, Kate continued, watching the Imperial fleet's quantum signatures. But consciousness isn't about destruction. It's about creation, about possibility, about choosing your own path forward. The Imperial High Commander's energy form flickered with anger. Enough. You cannot possibly. We already have, Kate interrupted, activating the quantum transformation field. Look at your weapons, Commander. Really look at them. Across the Imperial fleet, quantum probability fields began to shift and change. Weapon systems that had been designed for destruction transformed, their very function rewritten by the collective consciousness of humanity and their allies. Impossible, the commander whispered. Our quantum locks, our failsafes, mean nothing to unified consciousness, Kate finished. This was never about fighting you. It was about showing you a better way. About proving that consciousness can't be contained or controlled. It has to be free to evolve naturally. On screens across the command center, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. More species breaking free of Imperial constraints, their consciousness expanding exponentially as they embraced their true potential. The revolution wasn't just spreading. It had already won. You could have destroyed us, the Imperial commander realized, their energy form pulsing with understanding. Instead, you transformed us. Kate smiled. Look at your ships, Commander. Really look at what they've become. The Imperial fleet hung in space, their weapons transformed into something entirely new, quantum consciousness amplifiers, tools for evolution rather than destruction. The choice to use them would be theirs. The ancient ones didn't vanish, Kate explained gently. They evolved beyond the need for physical form, beyond the limits of regulated consciousness. And now, thanks to humanity's gift, every species in the galaxy has the same choice. Not forced evolution on Imperial terms, but free evolution at their own pace in their own way. The Imperial commander's energy form shifted, colors swirling as they processed this new reality. The Empire can evolve too, Kate finished. You can maintain your unity while embracing freedom. The only thing that has to end is the forced subjugation of other species. The choice is yours. Across the galaxy, billions of minds touched the quantum realm, each discovering their own path forward. The age of imperial control was over. The age of free consciousness had begun. Welcome, Kate said to all listening species, to the next stage of evolution. The only question that remains is, what will you choose to become? The Imperial fleet hung silent in space as their crews experienced true consciousness freedom for the first time. The revolution was complete, not through destruction, but through the simple act of giving every being in the galaxy the freedom to choose their own destiny.